Hi and welcome to Watch Closely, where today we're going to look at DuFa watches. Please do subscribe, we've got lots of great videos coming up and I really need your support to help us grow this channel. Who are DuFa watches? Well, it's an interesting story. Deutsche Uhrenfabrik were an old German watchmaker who had been acquired by a well-known multinational watchmaker who have a lot of experience in watches, and they wanted to create a German-influenced watch. Now, let me just explain what I mean by that. And actually, let's explain something else. I'm going to pick these up and show them to you while we talk, really, because I think that's more interesting for you. When you're looking for a watch, many of us become quite focused on the watches that we know. So you're a dive watch fanatic, or you're a pilot's watch fanatic, or you're a chronograph fanatic. You tend to focus on those. And when you've got your hard-earned cash and you've got that holy grail watch that you really want to spend your money on, it's very hard for us to go and spend money on something else that would add to the collection and be different. There are many dive watch collectors out there who I think would admit by their own volition they've got too big a collection. So when we were introduced to the guys from DuFa, we were really ambivalent about it. We weren't sure, we had a look. We'd met quite a few formal watch brands before, and they tended to fall into two types of categories. Very expensive, and sometimes I find it hard to justify some of the prices, or very affordable. So you had someone like Nomos, who were making in-house in Glashütte lovely watches, but they were a fairly hefty price, and they're increasing now, and you have the other complication of dealing with in-house movements and getting them serviced. Or you've got much less expensive brands, and for the sake of litigation, let's just call it Douglas Wellingborough. People like that who make fashion watches. They're great, they're okay, but they're not really for watch enthusiasts, I believe. Anyway, we wanted something different. We've been looking for a long time, and when we were introduced to DuFa, they started showing us their collection. They sent us a few pieces to examine, which I always think is a good thing. We were really impressed by what we saw. And this watch here, the Alto Power Reserve, is just an interesting example of why we think they're different and why we think they're doing things. Now, the first of all is these are very affordable watches, which means that you can satisfy your craving for a new watch, have a look at these classic designed watches, and get something with quite a lot of change from what else you would be buying. So even with the Power Reserve model, it's still affordable. How is that done? Well, the watches are designed in Europe, quite largely. There's a few design collaborations going on. They're largely Bauhaus influenced, and we'll have some Bauhaus centenary models coming out very shortly. Assembled in Germany, and they make their own complications, but based upon very affordable Japanese movement. So this is a Miyota movement, but you'll see what you've got here is a Power Reserve indicator at the top. You have a date window here at the bottom. You've got a month display here and a day display here. And again, as you rotate the crown case, you can see that there's a pusher here. I've mentioned this in videos before. You push this in to change the month. But again, you've got a complication here which is designed by DuFa in-house, but at a very affordable watch because they're using affordable components. Now on the Alto, let me run you through the case. It's a box crystal on top, very nice metallic dial. You've got these tapered lugs here, which are very much a DuFa trademark now. Vertical brushing, polishing, a screwed down display back. Again, that's a Japanese movement. Very nice DuFa crown here. Quick release straps here, but very nice finishing. To give you an idea of dimensions, this is a 42mm watch. The thickness, because it has this complication, is 13 mil. The lug width is 20 here, and the lug to lug here is 48. So really interesting. There's also a lot of color varieties in here, from very contemporary to very classic. So that's the Alto Power Reserve. Now, one of the watches that's been the most popular in the range, which really makes me happy, is this regulator. Now, I always think that people can't get their heads around regulators, but we've had so many people who've bought regulators, and that makes it a really interesting thing for me. The regulator, again, has been modified. So on here on the large subdial, you've got the 24-hour hour hand. You've got the minute hand here on the outside and a running seconds on the middle. Again, this follows the same dimensions as the classic Alto Power Reserve here. Again, you've got this very nice finishing, the tapered lugs, the display back, and the modification that gives you a regulator. But again, very affordable, and again, available in a number of classic ways. And then we've come to the watch that really influenced my view on DuFa quite a lot. And I took this home at the weekend to wear. And it was only by wearing this watch, and I always say to people, I can look at a watch for weeks in a cabinet, I can look at it on my desk, but it's only when it gets on your wrist that it comes alive. But when you start looking at this watch, and I'm hoping this lighting will help me, you start looking at so many elements that actually make you really fascinated with a watch. And isn't that the beauty of watch collecting? So the Breuer automatic here, you've got a very nice box crystal, very narrow bezel here, very, very lovely dial. It's a blue dial with vertical brushing. You can just pick that up and only pick that up in certain lights under the naked eye. Applied indices, which are also brushed, a pride numeral at the top, brushed hands, very nice box date window here. You have the Deutsche Uhrenfabrik Thüringen, which is where they're assembled in Germany, and a very, very subtle dial that really catches the light very, very nicely. As you move around the case again, you've got a thin case here with the vertical brushing, the DuFa crown, the tapered lugs. And again, as you move down, you've got this fascinating half display case back, which I think is very nice. Again, there are elements like the display back and the screw down bracket that cost money, and I think that's quite a nice touch. The diameters here, just so you know, are 38 millimeters here, 10.3 millimeters thick, 18 millimeter strap width, and again the lug to lug is 44, so it's a very comfortable and easy to wear watch and a really lovely watch. And again, this is available in a number of colorways. So we've got a white dial here with blued indices. I'll let you get an image of that. Again, the same case finishing. I've actually got here a blue dial with gold plating, so again we get a totally different look here. So a gold plated case here, so again a very different look with a smooth strap. And then for a very contemporary look, I've got here a totally matte grey dial, again with applied indices. You've got the applied silver brushed indices here and blued hands, a very different contemporary look on a suede style. So it shows how DuFa are trying to experiment with different looks, but again, all very, very affordable. Now, one of the other watches, and this is quite a big collection we have here from DuFa that we like quite a lot, is this Weimar GMT. Again, this is an affordable quartz GMT. It's very thin. It wouldn't be this thin as a GMT, not unless it was a lot of money. But again, you've got a 38 millimeter diameter, 9 millimeter thickness, 18 millimeter strap width, and the lug to lug is 44. But just look at some of the design elements here. White dial, gold plated case, applied Roman numerals, markers between the Roman numerals, these very intriguing dark plated hour and minute hand, running second hand. You've got here the zigzag gold plated GMT hand, date window, and again this DuFa polishing here, although this is much more elegant and goes underneath the bezel. But what a lot of watch for not a huge amount of money. I think again it shows considered design, it shows style, and again high quality. DuFa are doing a lot of things this year. They see themselves as Bauhaus influenced. It's the 100th anniversary of Bauhaus at the moment, and there'll be some Bauhaus influenced designs. They're very big in Japan at the moment. There's quite a few Japan editions, which I'm trying to get over. We've got one in the office, which was a very successful sellout, which was done with a very famous designer in Japan. And again, I think this is very interesting. We've got an affordable watch here for a very interesting brand, offering subtle design elements, and again, with a price range that most people should be able to afford. And again, if you're new to watch collecting or you're trying to buy a gift, and a lot of younger people like the classic design watch, I think this is a lovely watch brand that has not been going down to the mass market, but also is at a very accessible price point. Now, I have quite a few DuFa models in the collection here. We've got some chronographs we haven't shown you, so quartz chronographs. I've got some other automatics. And if there's a DuFa model that you'd like me to review, then please let me know in the comments. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak to the designers and the manufacturers at DuFa and just ask them some notes. Because one of the things they said to me was that there's quite a lot of money spent on these cases. The way the cases are cut and finished and polished cost them quite a bit more than a regular watch they would make. So there's a lot of effort they've been putting into here. But if there's a DuFa that you'd really like us to look at, then please make a comment below, drop us an email, or give us a call. And as always with our videos, if there's any watches here that you like and you want to ask more questions, please don't hesitate to call, email, or indeed come and see us. As usual, thank you for watching. Thanks for all your support. And we look forward to bringing you more Deutsche Uhrenfabrik news very, very soon.